Welcome, Dr. Vidyasagar. Thank you for taking the time to share the scope of the various guidelines released worldwide by regulatory agencies to ensure patient safety. We have been hearing the buzz about establishing drug supply chain traceability. Can you share your viewpoints in this regard?
Firstly, thank you, along with your audience from the pharma fraternity, for having me. True, there has been a long-standing need to find ways to reduce the counterfeit in drugs to ensure patient safety. Look, our loved ones, or we have consumed medical drugs in some form or other in our lifetime. Did we ever question before administering the medication? A few queries have evolved, like does this drug have any side effects? Or how long should the medication be taken, etc. But how do we judge whether our sickness is reduced after using the medicine? We depend heavily on our doctors, right? We should be lucky to be cured of the diseases if our local pharmacist delivers the originally manufactured batch of drugs. The results would be evil if any medical drugs were counterfeited or spurious. The best we can expect is the placebo effect of it just being some sugar pill. But consider the counterfeit drug suppliers are adding some chemicals to make our immune system respond in a way that makes us feel like the drug is working. So how do we enforce patient safety? From quality control to manufacturing to packaging and delivery, that is where various regulatory agencies place multiple guidelines so that the drug's supply chain is accountable. That accountability is referred to as drug traceability.
You mentioned the alarming acts, and I think our audience would like to know more about this and not leave it for a later interview session. Please provide a very high-level overview of the same alarming facts.
Sure. I do not wish to scare the audience, but knowing the realities would help. I want to cite healthresearchfunding.org, which has compiled a list of alarming acts. I will share a few of them. An estimated 10 to 30% of medicines sold in developing countries are counterfeit. The value of the counterfeit drug market annually is $200 billion. A 10-day crackdown against counterfeit drugs, coordinated by Interpol a few years back, led to the confiscation of 8.4 million doses of counterfeit drugs. 237 people were arrested worldwide, and 10,603 websites selling counterfeit medicines were shut down. An estimated 80% of the counterfeit drugs that are consumed in the United States come from overseas. Internet sales of counterfeit drugs account for $75 billion of the total market. Most of the counterfeit drugs that are made have been manufactured in either India or China. The WHO also estimates that between 1 and 10% of drugs sold worldwide are counterfeits, but it may be as high as 50% in some countries. For more statistics, I recommend you check out the updates at the healthresearchfunding.org website. I wish to bring to the audience's attention that these metrics were compiled a few years back, and the current statistics could be more than 50 times until recent years when each country began to place guidelines to stop the spread of spurious medical drugs.
True, these statistics are terrifying. We need to speak more about the traceability guidelines and the mitigation measures taken. We like to hear more on these lines. Sir, could you explain the motivation behind track and trace of medical drugs, which is today's buzzword?
Track and trace has become an enabler to ensure that all the drugs manufactured within the warehouse are shipped with barcodes following GS1 standard to establish traceability. As mentioned earlier, we need to track the movement of medical drugs to reduce smuggling and illegal sale of drugs. How is this mission being accomplished? Let me explain this in straightforward procedural steps. Every barcode that is tagged to the primary pack is defined by GTIN, which is the Global Trade Identification Number that is unique to each manufacturer. By decoding the barcode, we can establish the manufacturing source and track the movement of the drugs from the warehouse to the consumer.
It looks like some kind of QR coding we see with various UPI payment gateways, doesn't it? Or is there any further information that we need to be aware of?
Well, I wish to respond to that with a different approach. Firstly, the format of decoding is the same as per the recommendation of various regulatory agencies, but each guideline spells out what needs to be part of the barcode differently. At a very high level, A barcode label is affixed to all your packaged items, usually called primary, the pack closest or carrying the medication, secondary and intermediate secondary packs, ISL1, ISL2, etc., and tertiary pallet. I will need to go more in-depth by speaking about the technical requirements, but it would be more appropriate for the audience to check out our webinars on track and trace awareness. It is being offered free as knowledge services. Check out our PharmaMax Knowledge Center site for more information, and I implore you to share the links with your audience.
Sure, sir, I will share the information with our audience and recommend them to join one of the free webinars. Sir, I would like to move on to my next question. One interesting question our audience posted is what could be the real motivation behind the implementation of track and trace systems?
What do you think they would be? From a simple common sense perspective, our medications are not counterfeited. In short, we want to know that there is no damage to our bodies, isn't it? Hence, everything should stem towards one single goal: patient safety. To add more to this, the other motivations would be to be able to track the movement of medical drugs to reduce smuggling and illegal sale of drugs. Governmental and regulatory agencies are exerting pressure to ensure medication product security. A perfect storm is driving the development of track and trace solutions within the pharmaceutical supply chain. Providers are becoming increasingly concerned about the quality of care and patient safety, including securely administering barcode-labeled medications correctly to patients. Suppliers seek economical and effective methods to support manufacturing operations, control inventory, and manage recalls/returns.
Now that we have an overview of the traceability systems, can we get a more profound sense of each of the guidelines? I request you on behalf of our audience who had the following query. Sir, you spoke a little bit about the barcode coding, but can you give more details, even if it is technical information? I represent the IT department in my firm. We need some clarification and concerns regarding the guidelines and what they refer to levels. What are these levels?
If your audience can identify themselves, I will gladly provide clarification sessions at their sites. But for the larger audience, let me break the question into 3 categories. 1. About the barcode construct. 1. Differences, gaps in the regulatory guidelines. 1. Levels of serializations in a track and trace system. Now, let me address the barcode information. Firstly, the barcode and encoding contains the following information: the manufacturer's name identified by GTN, Global Trading Identification Number, the batch or the lot number of manufacturing, which helps to establish the traceability within the manufacturing plant's units, expiry date of the drug, and the most important one is the unique serial number by decoding the individual information referred to as application identifiers, AI, of a barcode. Now, let me address the guidelines surrounding the barcodes. Every country has a regulatory body to monitor the sale of medical drugs. They either conform to any existing guidelines of other regulatory agencies or have one on their own. It should be fine as long as traceability can be established. From US FDA, MHRA, DGFT India, Anvisa, TGA, NAFDAC, SFDA, etc., most follow an almost similar format, but the order of placement of the AI varies, in addition to holding additional application identifiers. So check out our Knowledge Center, which details the barcoding guidelines for each regulatory agency. Coming to levels 1 through 5 references, let me simplify them for you. It has nothing to do with compliance, but with the work activities, equipment, roles, and responsibilities. MNCs provide level 4 and 5 support and charge hefty fees, which I would term monstrous costs for just cloud hosting. So don't get caught up with these MNCs who scare the hell out of you. One mustn't focus on the last mile, but take the footprints from the beginning. To begin, it is essential to understand that each level is a stage of the serialization process, primarily focused on information management and exchange. If you lack any of the components at each level, you put your business at risk of costly and time-consuming mistakes in the field. Level 5, Network. A global network enables the management of all serialization and regulatory data with partners, customers, and regulatory authorities. A serialization solution vendor provides it with a worldwide supply chain network. Level 4, Enterprise. Enterprise Repository EPSI-IS. A global enterprise system enables management of all serialization and regulatory data and business processes. Provided by a serialization solution like PharmaMax Counterfeit Risk Management, CRM. An L4 is necessary to manage and verify the data that must accompany each serial number. When you begin serialization on the packaging line, L1, L3, you must simultaneously determine how you will use and integrate the strings with your enterprise architecture, L4. The L4 and L5, as I mentioned earlier, can be handled and managed on a cloud or internal web server and saves you a lot of top dollars. The remainder of the serialization levels, L3, L2, and L1, are usually supported by LMS vendors. Level 3, site-level serialization, software that allocates serial numbers to lines, verifies the integrity of information submitted to the enterprise system, and performs changes to aggregation hierarchies and processing of shipments. Traditionally provided by individual line management system, LMS vendors to work with their specific equipment, but LMS-agnostic site servers that can work with different line systems are beginning to emerge. Level 2, packaging pick-pack. Line software that maps with your L1 to manage hardware and printing systems in conjunction with your packaging line. L2 software works devices that serialize and pack products and supports integration with site systems for warehouse operations provided by LMS vendors. Level 1, LMS devices. This includes hardware devices such as cameras, printers, and vision inspection equipment that perform printing, vision inspection, rejection, and materials handling on the line. It is provided by LMS vendors. As stated earlier, the support you receive in person is from the LMS providers, and they should have an equal share in overall budgets allocated to traceability. If you take initial solid steps, compliance could be effectively managed. So I recommend picking an ideal partner who can meet your in-person support and hand-holding requirements to get on board.
Thank you for breaking down the requirements of our audience query and providing detailed clarification. Now let's move towards quick 2-minute or rapid-fire questions compiled from our questionnaire from our audience. Please respond with a focus on IVEDA guidelines, sir. Is a two-dimensional/matrix barcode symbology the only type to be used in the secondary level of packaging?
Packaging can be done using either a two-dimensional/matrix barcode symbology, that is GS1 data matrix, or one-dimensional/linear barcode symbology, that is GS1128 barcode.
Which guidelines need to be adhered to in case the buyer from the importing country has specific requirements?
As per the DGFT notification, if the importing country regulator has mandated their specific requirements for barcoding, the exporter need not comply with the DGFT stipulations for identification and marking of various levels of packaging. However, this first needs to be confirmed with all the concerned authorities.
In the event of changing the brand name of an existing medicine, do I need to change the GTIN also?
Yes. As per the GS1 GTIN allocation rules, a change or modification to any essential elements that characterize a trade item will usually lead to a change. Product name, product brand, and product description are essential predefined characteristics of a trade item.
What information should be printed on the primary level packaging in a human-readable format?
For primary packaging, the GTIN, expiry date, batch number, and unique serial number may be printed in the human-readable form if desired, as marking products at the primary level is optional.
6 bottles are shrink-wrapped together and packed in a box. Many such boxes are then filled in the shipper carton. Where should the secondary barcode be applied? Should it be on each bottle's label or the box containing the 6 shrink-wrapped bottles?
The box containing the 6 shrink-wrapped bottles will be considered the secondary pack, and the shipper carton will be treated as the tertiary logistic pack. The packages should be identified accordingly with barcodes for each of the packaging levels.
Barcoding for secondary packages is applicable for which products?
The mandate applies to all drugs and pharmaceutical products. For details, refer to the public notice.
When printing information in human-readable format, does the manufacturer need to use AIs or can text like expedite, serial no, etc. be used?
Refer to Section 4.14 of the DGFT Implementation Manual, Human Readable Interpretation, HRI. Rules of the GS1, General Specifications for Specific Recommendations and HRI form, format, and placement examples.
If an exporter gets an order from either a foreign or an Indian brand owner and outsources the manufacturing to a third-party manufacturer in India, then whose GS1 company prefix should be used to identify the secondary and tertiary level products?
Ideally, The GS1 company prefix registered to the brand owner of the product should be used. If the brand owner does not provide their company prefix, then either the actual manufacturer or exporter has to identify the drugs using a GS1 company prefix registered to them to comply with the requirements.
A company has 1 blister in a carton, 2 in a carton, and 3 in a carton of the same medicine as saleable units to the end customer. The company already has different GTINs for each of the above packaging configurations. Should all these cartons be considered primary, or only the cartons with 1 blister should be regarded as an introductory pack, and cartons with 2 and 3 blister packs be considered secondary packs?
Per GS1 definitions, all 3 packaging configurations would be considered secondary packages.
If there are 10 by 10 blisters, that is, 10 blisters with 10 tablets in each blister, packed in a carton, and 10 such cartons are shrink-wrapped together, what should be the primary and what should be the secondary pack?
Each blister should be treated as the primary pack. 1 carton consisting of the 10 by 10 blisters, that is 10 blisters with 10 tablets in each blister, should be treated as the secondary pack.
Must the serial number for each carton in the same batch be allocated a unique serial number?
Yes, each serial number shall be unique, whether primary, secondary, or tertiary. In the case of the tertiary, this will be accomplished via the SSCC, as the tertiary is considered the logistic unit per the specifications.
Does SolutionsMax team help the customers with help in uploading to IVEDA portal?
Yes, the team will guide you and help you with the step-up activities. You must use your digital signature to sign and upload the IVEDA files.
In the interest of time, I hope to accommodate most of the challenging questions shared by our audience from the industry, mainly from the packaging and manufacturing departments. They would take away tons of information after today's session, and I am requesting more similar sessions to create more awareness for our audience and consumers.
It has been a pleasure to be part of this August session, and I look forward to more awareness sessions if required. I request the audience contact us directly. Our knowledgeable staff will guide you. Our firm is focused on building a better world where no spurious drugs are on the market. Whenever my schedule permits during my business engagements around the world, I will be happy to take the time to visit individual plants in your specific countries. Don't hesitate to contact my office for further information and my scheduled travel engagements.